Hey, what's up, mortals? Zigzag here, and welcome to part 8 of What If Naruto Was Not Made a Jinchuriki, the debut story by our writer AxleBoost. Its official title is Life Without Kurama, and Axle has given us permission to use it on the channel. Links to the original fanfiction postings will be in the description. As always, sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. Chapter 8 Echoes, Part 1. Itachi stared down at Minato from above, suspended in a blood-red sky by a murder of crows. Granted, there was no clear distinction between earth and sky in this dimension. The crows surrounded Itachi, but also seemed to be part of him. In truth, it was difficult to tell where man ended and bird began. Flesh blended into black feathers like brushstrokes of a masterful painting. His form had no defined shape. It was as though he were an apparition. The fourth Hokage knew better, though. This was Sharingan Genjutsu.
The service you held was quite magnificent. Thank you,
the boy said. Although Itachi spoke in a level tone, his voice was somehow loud and resonant.
Itachi,
Minato said, staring up at the distorted figure.
I never expected you to show your face in the leaf at a time like this.
This Genjutsu wasn't the hardest to break out of, but it would be troublesome to expend the necessary amount of chakra. Minato had to commend his visitor for thinking ahead. He had to come up with a plan that would lower the chances of his discovery in the real world. Itachi floated nearer to his former leader. His approach was met with a noticeable flinch. He descended to eye level and regarded Minato with visible confusion. The crows separated from Itachi, leaving behind a faded imitation of his real body.
What are you doing here?
Minato demanded. He resisted the urge to reach for a kunai. It wasn't that he wanted a fight, the survival response was just ingrained after so many years. Not that there was a point, physical attacks wouldn't have any effect here. Itachi's eyes flitted to Minato's waist, registering his twitchy fingers.
I haven't come to fight you, Lord Forth. I'd never attempt something so foolish. And what's this all about? I need to speak to you regarding the incident. Being back in the village is dangerous for me, so I'd rather make this quick. Bringing you into my genjutsu is my safest option. Time moves slower here.
Minato nodded. He needed answers, and like it or not, Itachi Uchiha may well have been the sole person on the planet who was able and willing to give them to him.
Okay, I'm listening. So, you've lost all memory of our discussion.
Itachi's eyes widened with genuine intrigue. Minato nodded, hanging his head.
Yeah, well, not lost per se. My memories have been tampered with. If what you're telling me is true, then I was right to order Genma, Iwashi, and Raido to take Danzo in for interrogation. You should be arriving there about now. Good.
Itachi let out a thoughtful hum.
I didn't realize your special kunai had been replaced with a fake until it was time for that task. Danzo must have done it when I changed out of my gear. Danzo.
Minato clenched his fists.
Itachi, how do I know I can really trust your story? What I remember about that rendezvous is very different from what you've told me.
Itachi held out a hand, as if in invitation.
Very well. Let me show you.
His body exploded into dozens of crows. The birds dispersed, and falling feathers blotted out Minato's vision. He swept them aside, surprised to find that he was back in the Uchiha district. Itachi was nowhere in sight.
Hello?
Minato ran through the streets, calling out for Itachi, or anyone at all. He stopped when he saw the boy standing at the edge of the path connecting the Uchiha compound to the rest of the leaf. Itachi was in his Anbu gear. Then the scene transitioned to another location. Itachi flickered into view in a clearing, then hid behind a tree. Minato watched a past version of himself dash onto the grass and skid to an abrupt halt. Somewhere in the distance, water splashed against rocks. Itachi stepped out from behind his hiding spot, and the two ninja began their talk.
I remember this. But wait, something's different here.
Gulping back his trepidation, Minato waited to see what else Itachi had to show him. When this was all over, either everything would make sense or nothing would. The fourth Hokage panted, falling to his knees in his bedroom. He looked up to find Itachi leaning casually against the wall.
Did that satisfy you?
Itachi said.
If not, then I won't resist you having me imprisoned.
The boy's appearance supported his claim. His eyes had reverted to normal. They were now blacker than the hair that stopped at his neck. Minato took a moment to rest, letting his visitor sit with the silence. Then he stood, looking Itachi in the eyes without hesitation. He tapped into the pool of chakra he'd been storing in secret. Raw power coursed through him as he went into Sage mode. He directed his enhanced sensory capabilities at the exiled teen. Pleased with his findings, Minato dispelled his Sage chakra. He was careful not to speak above a whisper while giving Itachi his answer.
I'm not going to detain you, Itachi. Of course I had my doubts about the visions you showed me, but the fact that you're willing to present yourself to me as your true self instead of a clone, and deactivate your Sharingan, is proof enough. Thank you,
Itachi said, bowing in deference.
I'll remember your mercy, Lord Hokage.
The simple gesture took Minato by surprise. Even after everything that had happened, the boy still saw himself as a proud Leaf subordinate?
I guess this means you'll have to live as a rogue ninja,
Minato said, biting his lip.
Itachi, I know it doesn't mean much now, but I want you to know how sorry I am. I should have been there. I tried to be there, but Danzo stopped me. Now your life is ruined. We can only try our best to do what we can for the village,
Itachi said.
You and I are human, so we're guilty of mistakes. Even so, we're still alive, so we can do something with the time we have left.
It was remarkable. The child's wisdom far outstripped that of some Jonin many years his senior.
You're right.
Minato adopted a wistful smile.
That's why I want to give you something.
Itachi raised his head with an expectant stare. Minato prepared the Flying Thunder God seal, then held up his palm.
What of my seals? If you have my mark on you, we can still stay in touch. It's probably best not to hold on to one of those kunai after what happened with Danzo. Understood. We'll need to hide it somewhere no one will look.
An awkward few seconds went by as Itachi fidgeted, considering where to have the mark placed. Finally, he bent forward and parted some of his hair, revealing a section of his scalp behind the rows of dark follicles.
Here, please. No one will see it if I keep the mark here.
Minato creased his lips into a thoughtful frown.
Smart.
He decided not to waste time, and extended a hand towards the suggested spot. Once the mark was applied, Itachi said,
I have but one request, if you'll allow me that. I know I don't deserve to ask such things. Anything, Itachi. What is it?
Itachi's expression softened for the first time in Minato's recent memory. He knelt again, shaking with emotion as he whispered,
Please, watch over Sasuke. I'll do everything in my power.
The boy erupted into a cloud of smoke. Echoes of footsteps reached Minato's ears from beyond the door. He blinked and turned to Kushina as she stepped into the room.
Minato,
She said,
is one of your guards here? I thought I heard a voice, and I felt you entering Sage mode. Is everything all right?
Although it pained him to do so, Minato smiled and told her there was nothing to worry about. At least for now, he thought it best not to endanger her with the news Itachi brought him. Deep down, he was convinced this moment would stain his pride forever. He had never lied to Kushina in the entirety of their marriage.
What do you mean he escaped?
Minato balked, staring across his office desk at a contrite Genma. Although Danzo was a veteran ninja who served under the second Hokage, this feat was shocking even for him. After all, Minato made sure to have a sealing specialist seal off his chakra before he was escorted. Making matters worse, if what Itachi shared was true, then this news spelled grave danger for the Leaf.
What happened?
I don't know how to describe it, sir, Genma stammered, still chewing the signature senbone that always hung from his lips. His shoulder-length brown hair drooped in a way that mimicked his shame.
Even at his age, Danzo was just so fast. Before we knew it, he'd grabbed the keys to his cuffs and slipped out of our grasp.
He may have set some kind of escape plan up beforehand.
Minato said under his breath. He glared at the papers in front of him.
He must have known I was onto him.
The report stated that Danzo Shimura had broken out of the custody of the shinobi squad assigned to escort him to an aggressive interrogation session, then fled the Leaf. He couldn't have gone far yet, so Iwashi and Raido gave chase and were in the process of tracking him down on Genma's orders.
Lord Hokage, what do you want me to do?
Holding up a finger, Minato took a moment to think. Itachi's message had been quite clear. Not only had his genjutsu laid out what happened during their rendezvous, but it also revealed the truth about another matter, one with far greater implications. But he couldn't afford to show fear right now. If he did, that would only cause a wave of panic to ripple throughout the chain of command. And the Uchiha massacre had done more than enough damage in that department already.
Genma, you handled this well. Don't blame yourself. Something tells me Danzo would have found a way out of this no matter what I threw at him. I'm concerned about what he plans to do. He's an elder, and the knowledge he possesses about the village could easily topple us in no time.
Minato walked around the desk and paced the room. Then, an idea hit him.
Alright, I'm going to discuss this incident with the Third in private. In the meantime, Genma, select a team to back up Iwashi and Raido. I ask that you include Kakashi. His ninja hounds will be invaluable in picking up Danzo's trail. Come find me when you're ready, and I'll teleport you.
Yes, sir.
Minato's right-hand man bowed and marched out of the office, full of purpose. Genma had his mission. Now, the Hokage had one of his own to carry out. Telling the viewers that this video is sponsored by Soundbeats. Their new True Free 2 wireless earbuds provide the next level of quality and comfort. Ever gone out for a run and had to readjust your buds every 5 minutes? Do you worry about getting caught in the rain and ruining your $200 earbuds? Well, those days are behind you. Soundpeat's ergonomic design and IPX7 water resistance means your True Free 2 earbuds will stay in even through the most rigorous workout and function after a cascade of rain. Enjoy 20 hours of battery life and seamless switching between earbuds without interruption and at a fraction of the price of most premium earbuds. If you're on the lookout for a new pair of earbuds, check out the new True Free 2 wireless earbuds at the link in the description. Using our link, you will not only get an excellent audio experience, you'll be supporting the channel and helping us to provide the highest quality content possible. Minato came home early in the afternoon, slipped off his shoes, and searched the house for Kushina. He found her stepping out of the shower. She was wrapped in a towel with her damp red hair resting across one shoulder. She looked up in surprise.
Minato, you're home early today.
Yeah,
Minato said, pausing to accept a quick kiss.
I've got a lot to fill you in on, but I'll let you get dressed first.
I'll just be a minute, you know.
She said with a smile, hurrying into the bedroom. Later, they sat across from each other at the dinner table, going over all that he'd had to deal with that day. Kushina rested her chin on one palm, sighing as she took it all in.
So, the Third agreed?
Yeah, after we talked things over, I went back to the office and sent a message to Master Jiraiya. I decided to pull him off his Madara tracking task. Right now, Danzo's our most immediate priority.
I agree. I knew something serious must have happened when Lord Hiruzen left in the middle of our barrier fortification exercise. Ever since we drafted the plans, he's been so dedicated to working with me on it.
Yeah,
Minato huffed.
sorry about that.
It's no problem, you know. We got it all done for the day. I was able to teach a group of Chunin and Jonin some improved formulas.
That's great news.
Minato smiled. His wife was practically glowing, full of pride about her ability to still prove useful to the village. Things may have been spiraling out of control over the past several hours, but at least one of them had a positive, productive day despite it all. Kushina's happiness gave way to a solemn frown.
Oh, and there's something else I wanted to talk to you about. It's probably best we have this chat before Naruto comes home. At that point, we'll be too busy to give it any real thought.
Minato leaned in, eyes wide with concern.
Of course, go ahead.
She scooted back into her chair, breaking eye contact.
It's about Mikoto. Well, not really. More about Sasuke.
This was quite the surprise. Just like that, thoughts of his guilt surrounding the Uchiha massacre were dredged up by her words. Swallowing a lump in his throat, Minato gave Kushina his undivided attention. Words tumbled out of her one after the other. It was clear that Kushina was trying to hurry and get it all out, lest she forget what she needed to say.
Anyway, she's always been such a good friend to me ever since we met in the academy. Even when tensions were strained between the Leaf and the Uchiha in recent years, she was always so kind. I feel like I owe it to her to do more in her memory. You know what I mean, right?
While Minato wasn't certain where this was going, he was dying to find out. He nodded and waited with bated breath. His wife's lips parted in what felt like slow motion to deliver the message at the heart of this discussion. Kushina took slow, measured steps through the Leaf Village Hospital, checking the numbers above the doors of each room she passed. The place smelled of alcohol and sickness. Ornate wall decorations were affixed at regular intervals, in a poor attempt to distract visitors from the grim prospects many patients here faced. Once Kushina had been one of the unlucky few towing the line between life and death. If not for Tsunade's last-minute intervention, she would have joined the hundreds of patients this hospital failed to save or even provide enough beds for prior to their deaths, following the Ninetales attack. Recalling those dark times, she trudged on, her palms dampening with sweat. Coming back here was far from an ideal situation, but Kushina's current goal was worth the torture. She did her best to stay out of the way of anyone who looked busy, exchanging polite hellos with those she knew. Much to her disappointment, no one stopped to talk. In fact, she got the feeling everyone was staying out of her way on purpose. Kushina had to admit, being the Hokage's wife had its perks. She would have been grateful, if not for the fact that there was nothing to distract herself from the cloying scent of the dead, the dying, and the unwell. Kushina's knees threatened to give at any moment. She couldn't stop now, though, not so close. She wove her way through the streams of staff and patients until she found the room she sought. A door near the end of the hall was open a half-inch. Sliding her hand through the doorway, she eased it open an inch more and peeked through. Fighting back her anxiety, she called out.
Hello?
A female voice responded.
Good afternoon, Miss Kushina. You may enter.
Kushina took another breath, steeled her resolve, and pulled the door open. When she stepped through, the first thing she saw was the colorless expression on the face of a young boy. Sasuke Uchiha sat upright in his hospital bed. A nurse was placing flowers in a vase on the table next to him. She stepped aside, letting Kushina approach.
Oh,
Kushina said, throwing up her hands.
no, please, don't mind me. You can stay. It's all right. I was just leaving, ma'am.
The woman explained, flashing a nervous smile. She skittered towards the exit. Kushina's shoulders sank as she watched the woman disappear into the hallway at record speed, in much the same manner as those she waved at a few moments ago. Wiping the frown from her face, she turned back to Sasuke. Compared to his predicament, hers were trifling concerns.
Hello, Sasuke. Do you know who I am?
You're Kushina Uzumaki, the fourth Hokage's wife, his small voice said. He stared at her with eyes that looked dead, apart from a faint glimmer of curiosity. You were with him at the funeral. His visible suffering tugged at her heartstrings. Kushina made her way to the side of the bed and sat on the edge, smiling down at the poor boy. She did all she could to keep from crying while she spoke.
That's right. There's more, though. I was a friend of your mom's. Did you know that?
He shook his head, looking at her with a blank stare. She nodded.
Mikado and I were both very happy to be new mothers. I talked to her just after you were born. You were so cute, you know?
Kushina poked his nose, managing to get a weak laugh out of him. She was pleased to see that at least some of his innocence remained. Hesitating at first, she took his tiny, pudgy hand in hers. It was warm and clammy with nervous sweat. A visit from the Hokage's wife in the flesh must have been like a dream for someone so young. Kushina placed her free hand on top of his, reaching inside herself for the courage to do what she'd set out to in the first place.
Sasuke, about what happened in the Uchiha district.
His expression darkened. Sasuke slipped his hand out of her grasp and buried his face into his bed covers. She'd taken the conversation where neither of them wanted to go, but there was no choice.
I'm so sorry.
Kushina stressed, rubbing the boy's back. She shuddered every time his little body heaved.
I know how much this hurts. When I was a child, I lost my clan too.
His crying quieted to a sniffle. Loosening his grip on the covers, he looked up at her in wordless wonder. Kushina forced her bitter memories to the surface. She needed to be genuine with him. Given everything the boy had endured, he deserved that much.
That's right.
She confirmed.
I came home one evening from the academy, and my clan had been taken by surprise in an attack. Many lives were lost, and I was captured. But the fourth saved me. He's really strong, you know?
Kushina flexed a bicep, flashing a smile. Sasuke continued to stare in awe. She sighed, hoping she was getting through to him.
Sasuke, a wise woman from my clan once told me, when I didn't know what to do and my life was changing in ways I had no say in, that there was only one way to make it through.
How? The boy asked, in a quavering voice.
Love. You have to fill your heart with love.
She gave him a warm smile, putting a hand to her chest. Sasuke looked down at his bed, mulling over her statement to whatever extent his young mind could understand it. Kushina decided now was a good time as any to say what she came here to say.
I want to ask you something. Something important.
He blinked away tears.
What is it?
Would you like to come live with me and my family?
Seconds passed as though they were hours. Had she posed the question too soon? She'd figured it was best just to get right to the point, but perhaps...
Are you sure?
He asked, lip poked out.
I don't want to be a burden.
Somehow, Kushina's heart managed to shatter into even smaller pieces.
No, please don't say that.
She blurted out. Her maternal instincts kicked in, and before she knew it, she found herself hugging Sasuke's head against her chest in an embrace that, if his stifled grunting was any indication, was far too tight. She loosened her grip.
Oh, sorry. I just really don't want you to feel bad about accepting my offer. I've already discussed this with Minato. We'd both be so very happy to have you become part of our family.
Kushina smiled, withdrawing from the hug so the boy could think his response over.
I mean, if that's what you want.
Sasuke gave her a pensive stare, his silence filling her with anxiety.
The fourth? Agreed?
He asked for clarification. She nodded, giddy and terrified at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Another moment of indecision later, Sasuke managed to crack the slightest hint of a smile, streams of tears still drying on his face.
Okay.
He nodded to himself, as if to affirm his decision.
Thank you, Miss Kushina.
Thank you all for indulging yourselves in the story thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few more things I'd like to go over with you before the video ends. Firstly, we've got a primary channel called We the Celestials. We the Celestials is what we do here already, but their content is centered around the crazy world and lore of My Hero Academia. So please, check us out over there if you're feeling in the mood for a roller coaster of quirky content. We also have another relative to the channel, Anime Deep Dive. Anime Deep Dive goes deep into the facts and lore of a wide variety of anime. It's guaranteed to expand your weeb knowledge of all kinds of series. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details will be in the description below. If you're perhaps interested in what we do here at WTC, then I would like to extend an invitation to join the team. The only caveat being we only accept members 16 and older to join our crew. You can find us on Discord, which you can locate in the description below. Our Discord is an all-around fantastic place to be, whether you're a fan or looking to join our band of misfits. All you gotta do is hit up the recruitment server and sign up for whichever category of work that fulfills your interests. We're always looking for members to join us. Well, that's it from us for today's video. Thank you all for watching and have a great day.